fired up for week 6. We had a doozy of a week 5. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a doozy of a week 6. We have in my opinion, a Bayou legend in the house, and that's my nickname for the great Matt Moscona, a Bayou legend. A lot of good week 6 games on tap. We're going to talk to him about those week 6 games. We're also going to talk a little bit about some LSU football. They're in their bye. Just discuss with Matt Moscona about that. He's a legend, and we're going to get to him right here in a little bit. Guys, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, Podbean, or Apple, guys, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Thursday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage presented by us. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, and leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram's at pigskin_frenzy, and the website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Ladies and gentlemen, like I said, the Bayou legend himself. He is the one and only host of After Further Review, 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge. He's also the host of the Locked On LSU podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Mr. Matt Moscona. Golf clap, ladies and gentlemen.
Joel,
Matt, how are you doing, man?
If you keep calling me a legend, that just makes me feel like I'm way too old. I mean, I'm 43. I've been doing this a long time, so maybe I am getting old, but it still feels like if we're going to have legend status, maybe I got a few more decades. Maybe I got a few more decades in me before we get there. But thank you. It's very kind. Thank you.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, we all come across when we need some LSU info, and what better person to give us that LSU info than Matt Moscona, right? So
I think so.
Yeah, absolutely. Each LSU highlight that we scroll across, we see Matt Moscona's face on there. So it's like you are a legend in terms of LSU football, but really just in terms of just being on sports radio in general. And before we get into you being in sports radio, talk about your life outside of doing this. What is Matt Moscona like outside of sports media?
Man, I'm kind of what you see is what you get, Joel. I think the reason I love radio, and I know I say radio, and it's taken a lot of different forms in the digital age. I mean, you just mentioned people are going to be listening to this on Spotify or Apple, or they'll be watching on YouTube. But the reason that I love this medium is because it is the most intimate form of media there is. It is generally one or two people just having a conversation with someone on their jog, in the car on the way to work, sitting at their desk at work. And people tell me all the time, man, I feel like I know you. And I'm like, you do know me. My real name is Matt Moscona. I share my life. My wife, Erica, my son, Drew, who we went through a real challenging time when he was born. We had to relocate. We were in the hospital for 9 months with him. I mean, I shared all of that. And there's not a day in my life that goes by that someone doesn't ask me, how's Drew? And so, what's my life like outside of what I do? Everyone, I think, knows that. But what I'd say also is, I don't know that I necessarily believe in work-life balance. I think that, I wouldn't say that what I do is who I am, but the job never stops. And you have to be on, and I believe to be successful and to be great, you have to be where your audience wants you when they want you. And for some people, that's long form or live YouTube. And sometimes that's in the morning, and sometimes that's at night, and sometimes it's short form, and it's 60-second shorts, and sometimes it's an audio podcast. So I just produce a ton of content, man. And I am, my life away from the job is really still just the job. I never really turn it off. So I don't watch TV. I don't watch movies. I like to travel when I can. But by and large, I love what I do. It doesn't feel like work, man. I feel so blessed to talk about sports. I get paid to talk about sports, man. It's like, it doesn't feel like work. I guess, that's the thing. If people say you'll find a job that never feels like work, or something you love and you'll never work a day in your life, maybe that's true.
Absolutely. You're one of the first guests that I've asked that doesn't mention, I like to play golf outside of this or play pickleball outside of this. A lot of people tell me that I need to play golf or pickleball or do something else, in your spare time. But it's like, man, I just live and breathe to talk about college football. So it's like I want to just do this. So like what you said kind of goes along with what I do, right? So I was pretty unique. What made you fall in love with college football?
I was born in Louisiana. What do you mean?
Absolutely. That's absolutely. That's a good point.
Some of my earliest memories, I was born in New Orleans, and some of my earliest memories were Saturday mornings, waking up with my dad, my brother, and driving to Baton Rouge and tailgating on the old front nine and watching the Tigers play. And then Sundays were church, Shoney's breakfast buffet, and the Saints. So it's, those are two of my great loves, are the Tigers and the Saints. So, you get indoctrinated early in this state, man. We all end up worshiping at the purple and gold altar. And I was hooked early, and obviously went to LSU, and I have great love not only for LSU athletics, but I mean I'm an LSU alum. I love the school. LSU, Louisiana State University, gave me so much. It was such an important part of formative time in my life, and I love to give back to the school. I'm a Manship school graduate there, the Mass Communication School, and anytime they invite me to come back to speak to classes or participate in sports summits or anything like that, I'm always willing to do MC things. I'm always willing to do it, and really humbled when they ask. So what made me fall in love with LSU is just it's what everybody else, man. You're born into it. You don't have a choice.
It's like a religion. Like when people say, okay, because I'm in Illinois. I'm in Central Illinois. I've been a lot of places. So Big Ten football is, okay, yeah, it's good. But when you're down in the South, there's just something about college football, especially with SEC. Like you mentioned, LSU, you're born into it. It's like a religion. You know what I mean? Like you're born into a Christian
household. The biggest differentiator here, too, is like you said, you're in Central Illinois. You're probably a big Bears fan, I would guess. You probably...
Actually not, no.
Not well. I would assume most people where you are.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest differentiator is in the South you don't have major metropolitan markets, so there isn't a heavy pro presence. Don't get me wrong, there's some. I mean, I mentioned the Saints and the Pelicans, and there's Atlanta, and you got some of the Florida towns as well that have pro sports. But by and large, you're talking about teams and economies, local economies that thrive on their college teams in those college towns, and they're not competing with pro sports. It's geographically, the Southeast is the only region of the country where the most popular sport is college football. The rest of the country is dominated by the NFL, and there's tons of people who are rabid NFL fans here as well. But that is the biggest differentiator with the South, is people grow up more so with a love and a passion for the college teams instead of the pro teams.
You mentioned the Saints a little bit. I know because I used to cover NFL. I don't cover NFL. It's just a straight college football show. But let's have a little bit of fun. Give me your thoughts on the Saints season before we jump into the LSU.
I thought you wanted to have fun.
Oh, I mean, we are going to have fun.
What are you talking about? You preface that question with you want to have fun, and you ask me about the Saints season? Joel, come on, man.
Matt Moscona rant is about to be, about to happen again, ladies and gentlemen. But give us your thoughts on the Saints really quick before we jump right into LSU.
I mean, they're a mess. They're in a total rebuild, which is probably about 2 or 3 years past due. I was okay with them being all in to try to win another championship with Drew Brees, and they really mortgaged their future to be able to do it. They traded draft capital, they made bad contracts, but they were trying to win another championship with Drew Brees. Listen, the Denver Broncos did the same thing with Peyton Manning. They mortgaged their future, and they didn't make the playoffs for 9 years after Peyton Manning was gone. And they finally got the right coach now in Sean Payton, and maybe other quarterback in Bo Nix, I don't know, we'll see. But they went to 2 Super Bowls and won one of them. Denver did. The Saints came up short. They got Nolan no-called in 2018. I think we'd all feel differently about it had they won that Super Bowl in 2018. But they kept trying to. I always compare it, Joel. I say it's like a poker player at the casino. You're way up, and then you lose all the money that you had won. And instead of just cutting your losses and leaving, you keep going back to the cash machine trying to win it all back. And that was the Saints for the last really half decade. And they just dug themselves a deeper and deeper hole. So Derek Carr retired, they fired Dennis Allen, and now they have no choice really but to be forced in the middle of this rebuild. So they got to draft well and hopefully Kellen Moore's a good coach, and in maybe 2 or 3 years they can be competitive again.
Do you have so I was thinking about Kellen Moore. Do you think he is the right guy to man the ship so far? Like, just give it time, or?
Yeah, I think the NFL is a copycat league, and the young offensive-minded coach is the way of the now, and he fits that mold. He's been an offensive coordinator, was offensive coordinator for Super Bowl champ a year ago in Philly, and so it checks a lot of the boxes. Now, it doesn't always work. I mean, Mike McDaniel had a good start in Miami. They stink now. He's going to get fired. I mean, most NFL coaches are hired to get fired, and the odds are it won't work, but I'm okay with the hire. I mean, look, they wanted Aaron Glenn. He went to the Jets. They wanted Ben Johnson. He went to the Bears. They took better jobs. The Saints are not a good job. So, they got Kellen Moore. I think they checked some boxes, and he's just going to have to be patient, give him some time, see if he can build something.
Guys, just keep on listening to Matt Moscona on your Saints needs. He's just going to tell it how it is. Guys, round of applause for that analysis. I know you said we're not having fun with talking about the Saints, but I thought that was pretty fun. Well, let's talk about some LSU football. I want to hear your thoughts on this. A lot of people, including me, you probably listened to my previous episode on Tuesday. I went in a little bit on LSU, so I want to know your thoughts on their season so far. Like, I know they're 4-1, and it's like, okay, let's not write them off, because why? I mean, it's still early in the season. We're week 6. They're in a bye. They got South Carolina next Saturday. But what on your mind, with the offense at least, is the number one priority that needs to be changed? And just give me your overall outlook on their season so far.
Well, they got to run the football. I know everyone's talking about Garrett Nussmeier. Is he healthy? Whether he is or isn't is irrelevant if you don't run the football. In the loss to Ole Miss, LSU ran 54 offensive plays. They ran back-to-back running plays twice the entire game. In the first half, running backs had 2 carries. That's just not a functional way to play offensive football. You have got to have some semblance of a running game. And they're 121st in the country right now in rushing offense. So even if Garrett Nussmeier, hurt, not hurt, it doesn't matter if you can't run the ball. If they're dropping 8 into coverage and you don't have throwing lanes and everybody's double covered, you don't have a chance. And that's the problem right now is, Brian Kelly said Ole Miss showed a drop 8 look. So they rushed 3, dropped 8, 86% of the defensive snaps. And LSU didn't even attempt to run the ball. I mean, that's a problem. You have to at least be willing to attempt balance in your offense. So, look, they're great defensively. I mean, even you can look at the yardage total that Ole Miss put up, but my God, LSU's defense was on the field for 84 plays and only allowed 24 points. I mean, through the first 25 minutes of that game, Ole Miss managed a field goal. I thought the defense, considering, was outstanding. You'd like to get them off the field on third down a little more, and credit Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's a great play caller, and I thought the quarterback Chambliss played really well. But you lost that game by 5 points. It was an inherently winnable game if you had some semblance of balance and you hit some of the plays that were there. So, that's the disappointing thing about that loss. But that's the thing they got to fix is they got to be able to run the ball. And they got enough talent. They got enough talent everywhere on the field to beat anybody on their schedule. But they got to be able to run the football.
What do you think about the offensive line? Do you think that's a big part in it as well? Just not really just the offensive line in general, but injuries as well. Do you think injuries are just plaguing the offensive line?
Oh, I don't know that it's injuries. I think the offensive line is the biggest culprit. Okay. I know there's look when you do this job as long as I have, and you make yourself as exposed to your audience for as long as I have, you really get a finger on the pulse of the fan base. And I know most people, overwhelmingly, LSU fans think the problem with the offense is that Garrett Nussmeier is injured. And Brian Kelly's talked about the torso thing, whatever. And I don't know isn't, whatever the degree to which, but ultimately the culprit is your offensive line. When you can't run the ball against a three-man front, that's a problem. When an opponent is getting pressure with a three-man rush, that's a problem. The offensive line is flat, got to play better. Because if you can't run against, when you have 5 blocking 3 and you can't run, like I'm not good at math, I know that's bad. When you have 5 blocking 3 and their 3 are pressuring your quarterback, that's bad. Like how many times have we seen at the end of a half when a team's going to run a Hail Mary?
Yeah.
And the defense rushes 3.
Yeah.
And they drop 8. And the quarterback sits there for a minute and a half because 3 ain't going to get to the quarterback when you got 5 to block them.
Yeah.
That's happening at LSU right now. And I don't think it's injuries. I just think you have 5 new starters on the offensive line. And the key to line play is 5 playing as 1. And they just don't communicate and play well together yet. Hope is the more reps, the more snaps that they get together, they'll keep improving and that'll come along. But right now, that's a long way from being good.
You think the bye week will help some?
I think the bye comes at a good time. You'd always prefer to go into your bye with a win because you have good vibes. Now you get to stew and think about a loss for 2 weeks, which stinks. So there's a lot of negativity permeating. But I think every day that they practice helps that line get better. I mean, like I'll give you an example, and I don't mean to like call out an individual, but LSU ran a 2-point conversion play where the running back got obliterated in the backfield. And the easiest thing for fans to do and the low-hanging fruit is to blame the play call. Yeah. And Joe Sloan, terrible call. I mean, I didn't love the call. But if you go watch the All-22, on the left side of the line, Bauer Sharp missed his block, and the left tackle, Tyree Adams, completely whiffed. And that got Juwan Johnson crushed in the backfield.
Yeah.
If Tyree Adams makes his block, Juwan Johnson has a lane to score. He'll have one guy, one like arm tackle he'll probably have to run through, but he probably gets in the end zone. That's a pretty good play call. That's a terrible execution on the left side of the line. Like, that's the thing that they really got to fix, and I don't know how much better you can get over the course of a season. I say it in every sport, Joel, teams are allowed to improve. I mean, people forget a year ago, Ohio State, Chip Kelly was their offensive coordinator, and the narrative around Ohio State for much of last year was, man, Chip Kelly hasn't figured out how to use this talent. It's underutilized. Remember, they lost to Oregon. They lost to Michigan at the end of the season where I forget, was it 14-10? Was the finals a low-scoring game?
Or that 13-10, the flag planting.
Yeah, there it is, 13-10. And then they figured it out. And my goodness, were they impressive on their way to a national championship. So teams are allowed to improve, and LSU can improve, and they got tons of talent. But it's not easy, especially in the SEC, where you got a gauntlet. You got 3 straight league games here before another bye, and then you go through November where you're going to play 3 more SEC games plus Western Kentucky. So 6 more league games and a lot of heavy lifting ahead of them.
So before we get into what position group has impressed you the most, I was going to ask you, out of the gauntlet, you mentioned the gauntlets, you got South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and Texas A&M before the bye. Out of those games, which game are you expecting, like, okay, this is the one where I'm dialed in, like, they got to show me something?
I think well, look, you get South Carolina at home, and they've really struggled, and I just don't know that they present much of a challenge. They're dealing with their own issues right now. Vanderbilt's a good team. I still think LSU's defense is going to give Vanderbilt a lot of problems. Yeah. So I think LSU can win that game in Nashville. The A&M game, I think, is probably the one that's the most fascinating because I think they have a physicality. Like, I picked A&M before the season to finish 4th in the league. And a big part of it was I think they got the best offensive line and 3 really good running backs and a quarterback that can run it. So I picked A&M to lead the league in rushing. And then Mike Elko is such a good defensive mind, I figured they'd be competent on that side of the ball. So I think A&M, because of their physicality, their ability to potentially control the line of scrimmage, presents a real challenge. But that's a game in Tiger Stadium. It's hard to win on the road in the SEC, as LSU just found out at Ole Miss. So I think I like LSU at home in that game. But the one that really gives you pause, I think, would be that game against A&M.
Yeah. And then you got another bye. Then, obviously, the game against Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Then Arkansas, then Western Kentucky, then Oklahoma. So, Bama, would you just, okay, fingerprint right off the bat, Bama's the one, right? Still. just to look at, okay, that's the one where we got to show something immediately?
I think people will always circle Bama. I think, like anybody who follows my content knows what I've done for the last year and a half with the Bama's burning bit that I've done and all that stuff. And I hold true to that, but a lot of people misinterpret it, and I've said it a million times. Yeah. Bama's burning has nothing to do with LSU. It's everything to do with Alabama not being dominant. And I've always said it's not that they're not going to be good. It's just the era of invincibility that followed Alabama with Nick Saban, that's gone. And even Alabama people would have to acknowledge that. It's different. It's not to say they're going to be bad. They'll never win anything again. It's just, it's never going to be the same. Like, they're capable of getting dump trucked by Florida State and losing by 3 touchdowns. They're capable of losing at Vanderbilt. That would have never happened with Nick Saban. That's the point. So Bama's inherently beatable. It's really impressive that they went on the road to beat Georgia. But Georgia shut Bama out in the second half and ran for over 200 yards. Bama's got a lot of warts. And my goodness, if Kirby Smart kicks that field goal to tie the game with 9 minutes to go, again, Bama's offense did nothing in the second half. And Georgia was running the football. I think Georgia finds a way to win that game. Yeah. If Kirby ties it, but he goes forward on the 4th down, they get stopped, and it's a massive problem. And Bama was able to make the plays to win it, so you tip your cap. But yeah, I mean, Bama's always going to be the one people circle just because of the name on the marquee. I think at Oklahoma could be really tricky as well if John Mateer is healthy. And that's probably the team I missed the most on this year was Oklahoma, and maybe Tennessee. I thought those 2 teams would really struggle, and I think they've been impressive this year.
Yeah, Oklahoma's a tricky one, especially like you said, if John Mateer comes back and is like fully healthy, that could pose a problem too. It's in Norman, so we'll see. That's a we'll see game right there. So last but not least on LSU, then we'll move on to Week 6 of college football. Talk about the position group that has impressed you the most out of LSU. Just one position group.
Well, I think it's got to be safety play. And a big part of that, and I know that's probably not the answer most people would expect to hear, but like a year ago, LSU's safety play was quite literally the worst I've ever seen at LSU since I've been covering the team or watching. Yeah. I mean, and this is a program that's produced All-Americans and first-round draft picks. I mean, guys like LaRon Landry and Jamal Adams and Eric Reed and Grant Delpit, and they were awful last year at safety. And they went in the transfer portal, and they got a couple of guys in A.J. Halsey and Tamarcus Cooley, probably names that most people don't know. But they're also, I think, a great illustration of what the transfer portal era can bring. Yeah. Halsey, for example, that's a guy who was a 3-star out of high school, went to New Mexico, started as a freshman, transferred to Houston, became a multi-year starter there. Last year was first team All Big 12, led the league in interceptions, comes to LSU, and he has been arguably their best defensive player. I mean, he made the play. If you watch the Ole Miss game, that's the guy that made the play near the goal line with the punch out on where the Ole Miss receiver looked like he was streaking toward the end zone. Halsey came from the other side of the field and punched the ball out, forced a turnover. He's been awesome, man. And those guys have been really impressive, which has set the tone for LSU, really just transformed the defense because it's made them more sound in their run fits and their ability to cover on the back end as well. And they've affected the game with turnovers. So safety play has been a breath of fresh air after last season.
I'm pretty sure I don't know if it's just a funny thing, I guess. Have you heard about the Bayou Bandits nickname?
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, making the shirts and everything. I think
Blake Baker gives them a nickname every year. He says things like there's no poodles on his defense. He doesn't want poodles. And so he met with reporters. He had one media availability in fall camp, and as he was walking out, someone shouted out, "What's the nickname for this defense?" And he yelled back, said, "Bayou Bandits." Well, it's a sort of a hat tip, maybe a little more politically correct hat tip to LSU's past, where they had the Chinese Bandits on the 1958 national championship team. So there's this famous photo of the LSU team wearing these sort of like samurai, warrior masks, like yellow skin. I mean, I guess in the 1950s you could do that. I don't think you do that in 2025. But so you kind of put a more modern twist with the Bayou Bandits. So pretty cool. It's like a tiger with a bandit mask on. They've been impressive, man. Blake Baker is he's a great coach, man. I'd be surprised if he wasn't a head coach in the next cycle or two.
Well, you already answered my next follow-up question on that, because that's what I was going to ask. Would Blake Baker be considered for a head coaching job? If so, where? I mean, Power 5, Power 4, Group of 5, you know?
Yeah. Look,
that
played.
That was kind of my thing, yeah.
Blake's from Houston, but he played at Tulane. And look, I think a year ago, if John Sumrall had gotten that North Carolina job, I think Blake Baker would have been the head coach of Tulane. It'll be interesting this year because Sumrall's a really hot name, and if John Sumrall takes a job, does Tulane maybe make a run at Baker, or does Baker wait for a Power 4 job? Look, he came to LSU. He was at LSU in 2021. Wasn't retained as a linebackers coach. Wasn't retained by Brian Kelly. Became the DC at Missouri for 2 years. Then Brian Kelly hired him back. Yeah. Missouri would be interesting if Eli Drinkwitz, if they have another great season and maybe a top program were to poach Eli Drinkwitz and they're looking for a head coach. I think Blake Baker would be a really interesting choice there as well. When he came to Baton Rouge, he also brought several assistants from Missouri with him, and I think he could take Kevin Peoples and Jake Olson back with him to Columbia.
Yeah, I think Blake Baker would be a good coach. I don't know why. As a good head coach, he's already a good defensive-minded coach. I think he would be a great head coach.
Great energy. Players love him. He can recruit.
Absolutely.
He wears cleats to practice. It's awesome. and he wears the LSU fitted baseball cap on the sideline, which also gives him great edge. Great dude, man. Players love him.
And Jay Johnson was commenting on that as well. He was really pumped. You're representing the baseball team for us. That's awesome.
So good.
Yeah, at a great stage. So Blake Baker for a head coach, we'll see, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see after this season. Let's talk about your ranking reactions for Week 6. I think I don't know if you have any disagreements or agreements about the rankings for Week 6. A lot of people say the AP doesn't matter until the college football playoff rankings come out in November. But I just kind of want to get your thoughts on them. Is there any things that you agree with or disagree with?
I don't care.
You don't even care. So you're like me. The only rankings that matter are the college football playoff rankings or your own rankings that you create.
I don't even care about the college football playoff rankings until the last week.
Okay.
It's wholly irrelevant, Joel. The AP doesn't factor into anything, and the college football playoff rankings, when they start them in November, is just a TV show. They will change those rankings every week based on whatever criteria they want. It is wholly irrelevant. I mean, the fact that in 2014, the first year of the playoff, you had TCU as a team in the postseason in those penultimate rankings, and they went out, scored 60, something like that, in the final weekend, and got dropped out of the playoff because they had a Baylor conundrum. Because Baylor beat TCU, everyone thought TCU was better. That was when the Big 12 had their one true champion mantra. And the committee was up a creek because they didn't know what to do. And so they were like, just push them both out. And Ohio State beat Wisconsin 59-0 in the Big Ten championship game. So they pushed both them out and put Wisconsin in.
Yeah.
The committee is stupid. It is a bunch of self-important dopes in a hotel ballroom in suburban Dallas, debating things like game control and defensive efficiency metrics. It's a fundamental absurdity that we let these dorks sit in a room and decide who's worthy of a playoff opportunity. So I don't care about their rankings. I think they're all dumb. I think they should all recuse themselves. There shouldn't be a committee. We should have a power ranking system that's agreed upon before the season, and it should seed the best 32 teams, and we should have a 32-team playoff.
Mic drop. That's all we got to say. Mic drop. We don't even have to ask any more follow-up questions on what he just said. Mic drop. Let's talk about your upset alert for Week 6. Teams going up.
I got it. It's Texas A&M. I love what Jeff Lebby's doing at Mississippi State. And I had to play on State plus the 7.5 against Tennessee. They darn near won that game. And here's another fun fact. I'll shout out my coworker Rivers Huey, who is a publisher or is the digital media director for us over at LouisianaSports.net, and she is a Mississippi State alum. We were having this conversation last week. Mississippi State, since Texas A&M has come into the SEC, that series is 7-6. In 13 games, A&M's won 7, Mississippi State's won 6. That has been an even series. I do not think Mississippi State fears Texas A&M at all. And I think Jeff Lebby with Blake Shapen healthy at quarterback slinging that thing creates a lot of problems. And I think at times Texas A&M has struggled to move the ball and score. They scored 16 points against Auburn this past week. So I think Texas A&M should very much be on upset alert. And Alabama. You better believe Alabama's on upset alert because here come the Commodores. They did it to you last year, you chumps. 40-35. Get ready to choke on that anchor again, chumps.
See, we got the 2 upset alerts from Matt Moscona, and both of them are Pigskin Frenzy games for this week. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I agree. I think both of them are on upset alert. What about Miami and Florida State? Miami's a 4.5 point favorite, I believe. Do you think that's an upset alert game there, or no?
Yeah, I think Florida State's ability to control the line of scrimmage gives them a chance. I mean, the way that they ran the ball against Alabama, not only with the backs, but also Tommy Castellanos, creates problems for defenses. And listen, I'll salute Carson Beck for the job he's done, but I can't get out of my head the turnover issues he had a year ago at Georgia. And I don't think those all of a sudden get fixed. And if he goes this whole season and is a patient, effective, efficient quarterback, tip your cap, good for him. I just don't know that I buy it. Yeah, I absolutely think Florida State's got a shot in that game.
I have an interesting one before we move on to our preview predictions. I have an interesting one. I think Virginia over Louisville. I think Louisville's the wrong team favorite.
Field storm fade.
It was absolutely. I think.
No. Field storm fade. You fade the team the week after they storm the field.
Okay. All right. I guess
Virginia's coming off the emotional win. Fans storm the field. Go the other way this week. Louisville.
So, almost like. I mean, I don't know if they stormed the field. I mean, obviously against Tuscaloosa, but like last year a little bit, they're coming off that Georgia high. And then here comes Vanderbilt in Nashville. Kind of like that a little bit. But
it's a letdown spot. But if you ever see a team storm, like if you sports bet, you ever see a team storm the field, same in basketball, court storm fade. You see a team storm the field, storm the court, the next game, bet against them.
So now you're teaching me something. So now, see, another golf clap for Matt Moscona. He's teaching me something. So now I'm going to have to think about what I've done. Repent, right? As we say, repent. I'm going to have to repent now. So I'll still lean towards Virginia, but now you're making me think about it a little bit.
Proceed with caution.
Proceed with caution. What about Texas and Florida? You think that one's an upset alert pick or no?
I think Florida's toast.
Yeah.
I know that game's in Gainesville, and if Billy has one last stand, this could be it. You get both teams coming off a bye. But I think Texas is one of those teams that as the season goes along, after replacing so much from a year ago, they just keep getting better as the season goes along. They'll be better in October than they were in September. Like, no one should be surprised that Art struggled at Ohio State. His first start, he threw 95 career passes. Now you have to go start at the defending champs in the horseshoe. Come on.
Yeah.
Who was surprised he struggled there? Same with Bryce Underwood losing at Norman. It's just a challenging spot. I think Arch will be fine. He'll keep getting better. It's a big challenge against that Florida defense, especially the defensive front is really good. But I just don't know that Florida can move the football against that Texas defense. So I like, even on the road, I like Texas.
Did you pick Ohio State to beat Texas in week 1?
Yes.
You did? Okay. I was thinking that too. I mean, I did pick Texas, but I didn't think it was going to be a magical performance by Arch Manning.
Yeah.
Right off the bat, especially week 1. Going into the defending national championships place to try to play against them. I mean, it's honestly, everyone has this, thing because it's the last name on his back of his jersey, right? And I think that they expect him to go, okay, he's just gonna go, 20 for 20 and ball out 4 touchdowns against, national championship defense because he's Arch Manning. So I don't know. I think Texas will win that game. I saw a tweet and it said Iowa versus Iowa when it comes to offense. So that's what's kind of concerning me about Florida and Texas a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. We'll see about it. But Week 6 preview and predictions. We're going to talk about our Pigskin Frenzy games for Week 6. We're going to preview them and predict them, starting off with Mississippi State at Texas A&M. I don't even know if we ever did, or I don't think I've ever did a Mississippi State game as a Pigskin Frenzy game. But here we are, because Mississippi State surprising a lot of teams. They're 4-1 at Texas A&M. I don't know I think A&M's favored by a touchdown in this game. I believe. I think it's like 6.5 point favorites. I may be wrong, but I think that is the spread right now. Who wins this and why?
Yeah, I like Mississippi State. I like their offense. I think they're primed for a big effort coming off the disappointment of the close call against Tennessee. I don't think they're scared of Texas A&M. I think Jeff Lebby and Mississippi State get a signature win.
Hey, that's really, really good. The keys for me for Mississippi State are forced turnovers. I mean, they snagged 3 turnovers versus Tennessee. Protect the football, obviously, because they did have 2 turnovers versus Tennessee. And then slow down their running game. A&M had 207 total rushing yards versus Auburn. And that running game is pretty electric once it gets going, right? And they can get cooked a little bit more and get gassed out a little bit more. So figure out a way to slow down that running game. I think minimize the penalties if you're Texas A&M. 13 penalties for 119 yards versus Auburn. Almost like Ole Miss versus LSU. Well, I'm not trying to get you going. But 13 penalties for 119 yards, that's not good. That's not good disciplined football. So be better disciplined as well. Pressure Blake Shapen, and then force turnovers for Texas A&M. I think those are the keys right there for both teams. Who do I have winning this game? I'm with you. Give me the upset. I think State's going to take it. I think it's going to be bold of me to do that. I could get it wrong, but I think State's going to go into College Station and get the upset. I was kind of going back and forth on it a little bit, but I think my heart's telling me to go with Texas A&M. Excuse me, Mississippi State, rather. Mississippi State wins 28-24. I think 28-24 is the score, and State gets the win. Let's talk about Iowa State and Cincinnati. I think that game's going to be really good. It's a noon Eastern kick, 11 a.m. Central. Battle between 2 Big 12 teams. Cincinnati's kind of a little bit on the rise. It's at Cincinnati. This could be a little bit of a trap game for Iowa State. So who do you have winning this game?
I don't know a damn thing about either of those teams, and I don't care. Give me Iowa State with Matt Campbell.
Let's go with Iowa State then, rather. We won't even pick the game. We'll just go with Iowa State, and it will go 35-28. You're going to love the next 2 games. But 35-28, Iowa State defeats Cincinnati. I will just give you that rundown there. And I'll probably even give a clip about it reason why later. Vanderbilt at Alabama. Do you think the spread is a little bit much? 10.5 point favorites in Bryant-Denny.
Yeah. I think it's a major letdown spot for Alabama after Georgia. I don't think they're going to be napping on Vanderbilt this year like they were a year ago, but Vanderbilt's a better football team, and Vanderbilt does the thing that Alabama struggled with. Vanderbilt runs the football exceptionally well, and they play defense. So I don't think they have the athletes to match up with a guy like Ryan Williams on the outside, but if they can scheme to limit the big plays there, I don't know that Bama is going to totally shut down Vanderbilt running the football and scoring. So I think this is going to be a score fest. It comes down to the second half of the fourth quarter, and if you can steal a possession late, I think Vanderbilt could win it. I'd probably pick Alabama because they're at home, but I do not think that's going to be an easy game where they just roll over Vanderbilt.
I think Vanderbilt's got to win the time of possession battle as well, like they did last year. I think they got to keep that defense on the field and keep rolling. I think they also got to win on third down as well. Did you know that Vanderbilt's 4th in college football in third down conversion percentage and 2nd in the SEC?
They're a veteran team. I think they've done a brilliant team in the way that they've built their roster. They went and got 22, 23, 24-year-olds from JUCO and lower levels, and dudes that have played a ton of football, and it shows.
Absolutely. And then establish the running game if you're Vanderbilt. I mean, Bama allowed 227 total rushing yards against Georgia. I know Georgia's a good running team this year, but still, I mean, you look at that and you're like, okay, maybe we can try to do that. And Bama really got shut out in the second half in scoring. So I think for Bama, pressure Diego Pavia, find a way to get him rattled, win on third down on both sides of the ball, defensively and offensively, and then force turnovers if you're Alabama. Figure out a way to get the ball out of your hands there. So for me, I got Bama in this game. I think they don't cover. I think Vanderbilt covers, and they win 35-32. Bama wins 35-32.
I can see that kind of game.
Yeah, absolutely. What about Miami at Florida State?
Hey, we talked about it just a little bit ago. I like Florida State in that game. I'm a big line of scrimmage guy. Even though Miami may have the edge with experience at quarterback, or maybe just the NIL edge at quarterback. I cannot help but be impressed by the way that Florida State runs the football, that travels, and they look aggressive on defense. I think Florida State's going to win that game.
Really? I think Miami gets it. I think they get it 38-31. I think that coming off that loss, there's a lot of questions for me to be answered about Florida State. Give me Miami. They win 38-31. Guys, Matt Moscona, ladies and gentlemen, he's been awesome. He's been amazing. We are fortunately running out of time, so a big thank you for Matt Moscona for tuning in. And thank you guys for listening on YouTube, Podbean, Spotify, Apple. For watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram's at Pigskin_Frenzy, and on the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Matt Moscona. Tune into him on After Further Review on ESPN 104.5 in Baton Rouge, as well as host of the Locked On LSU podcast. We'll be back Tuesday with our Week 6 recaps. Thank you again for Matt Moscona for joining us. Guys, we love you all. We're praying for you all. As always, stay the course.